Who loves an underdog story? Well, I know I do, and that's exactly what we're going to look at in today's episode. You might have saw the title already. Law student 19 sues landlord and wins first case. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, let's get into it. Look, it's episode 2. Thanks again for stopping by if you're joining us. Um, Big issue here within the student accommodation sector, and I want to get into it, but you can see the title, as I say, Law Student 19 sues landlord and wins first case. We're going to get into it. Let's read and we'll scroll down. So this is Jack Sim, and let's get into it. So ever booked accommodation and turned up to find it's not exactly what you were sold in the pictures. Now, believe it or not, this happens to thousands of students all over the UK every year. And it's a massive problem, and it's part of what I do. I see it as myself that should be resolving these issues, well, not resolving them, but bringing it out to light that these things exist and basically pointing people to the best accommodations in Scotland. So let's continue. So, well, that's just what happened with Jack Sims at university accommodation, which he described as being like a building site. So he decided to do what any self-respecting law student would do and took his landlord to court, winning his first ever case with the help of his textbooks. The 19-year-old was in his first year at the University of East Anglia in September 2020 when he moved into the Velocity student accommodation in Norwich. But because he got his university place through clearing, he didn't get a chance to view it beforehand, which again happens to a lot of students. I thought I was going to get what I'd seen in these photos, he says, these nice upmarket student accommodation rooms. We then see a hole in the ceiling of one of the rooms. But when we turned up, it was a different story. It was a building site, he says, of the property which was developed by the Friedman Project LLP and managed by Estate Education. There were skips everywhere, tradesmen everywhere, hammering the ceiling, hammering the walls. This place was covered in dust from sanding. It was ironic and funny that people were moving into this place because it looked awful. It was just a bit of a dire state, really. After a week, Jack moved out and stopped paying his rent. Despite being threatened with recovery action by a debt collector, he turned to his textbooks and started building his case. Caption there, young people need to back themselves. He collected witness statements, put together the case law and statute law surrounding contract representation, and sued for breach of contract and misrepresentation. It was quite easy, to be honest, says Jack, who is originally from Newcastle. I studied contract law at the time. To me, it was quite an easy case of opening my contract law textbook and looking through some of the relevant law, and that applied to the situation. He adds, we sued for our money back, our deposit, and our first month's rent. They sued for the entire tenancy agreement, around £7,000. At an online hearing at Newcastle County Court on 2nd of November, his dad spoke for him in court, and Jack won what he'd paid them, plus court fees totalling £999. The counterclaim was dismissed. He said it was great winning and really just instilled in me that young people need to back themselves. You can't just let these landlords win, he added. You've got to take them to court if this happens. Change will happen. The culture needs to change. State Education declined to comment when approached by the BBC. Now, what he says is absolutely right. The culture does have to change, and it's only stories like this that are going to bring these issues to light. The business that I run, it basically weeds out bad accommodation and pushes students to the best accommodation in Scotland. And that's what I do, that's what my passion is. But again, with stories like this, it just brings out how bad it can actually be. And the purpose of it is not to kind of rag on universities or student accommodations. It's just to put a picture in your mind that this stuff does happen, and it could be you. It's happened in Glasgow, it's happened in Edinburgh, it's happened in Dundee all this year. It happens. So like I say, it's not to rag on anybody else. It's to put it out there to you. So it's up to you what you want to do with that information. I hope it helps. Continue. Sorry, it just annoys me. It annoys me so much. But congratulations to Jack, I should say. He's won that case. That's fantastic. Like, subscribe if you can. If you want to see more of this kind of content, come back to me. Thanks for stopping by. and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.